Three, check 1, 2, 3, check 1, 2, 3. I want to start off with a couple of points to be made. First of all, for you, my dear friend, my loyal acolyte and the like. That's right, an acolyte. I saw this the other day, and I want you to listen to me very carefully. Food shortages. I'm going to tell you again, are next. Okay? And the way that things are going, the way that we're heading, the entire food supply system could break down. Who knows what? Because they tell you and they prompt you and they coax you and they cajole you and they wheedle you. Now, are you ready right now? Do you have at least 3 months of food stockpiled, ready to go per person? If not, you have to go to preparewithlionel.com and save $200 on a 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. Now, this will give you, listen to me, breakfast, lunches, dinners, drinks, snacks, enough food for one person for 3 solid months. And you are going to thank God you paid attention to me. It provides over 2,000 calories a day for optimum strength and energy, so don't miss out on this. $200 per kit you save when you stock up now. My Patriot Supply is on your side, there for you. They're charging less to help families more. And make sure to get 1 kit per person so you don't run out. I can't say it enough. So go to preparewithlionel.com, preparewithlionel.com, and save $200 per kit. Your kits will come fast and free. And with the world on the brink, with we on the precipice, with the sword of Damocles hanging over us, don't take any chances. Go to preparewithlionel.com right now, preparewithlionel.com. Now, my friends, I want to explain something to you, and I think you know this by now, and I hope I don't offend you, but there is no Republican Party, and I hope you know that. And you might do great with that. You might say, you know what, that's terrific. That's just terrific. And I don't know what the Republican Party is. I mean, you've got people who are famous. Somebody said, "Oh, did you see Candace Owens?" Or, "Oh, no, I didn't." Did you see? Alan Dershowitz was on with Charlie Kirk, and he said that Trump would be convicted. I'm saying, excuse me. What does this have to do with me? Well, no, this is... Do you think this is a substitute for political action? Are you like the CPAC crowd? What do you think? Oh, no, I just... And listen, this is great, and God bless anybody who's making a buck and doing their thing, but this is not a political movement. Judge Janine in some studio audience, peanut gallery, is not political action. You do know this. Because I'm telling you, the Republican Party, this thing you call the Republican, and I'm not a Republican. This is why I don't want parties to begin with. But whatever this counterbalance to this woke radical left world is, as you call it, it doesn't exist. You know that, right? Lionel merch available. Had this mug. How long have I had this mug? You can't break it. I've had this. You can't. You could grow coy in this. Anyway, there is no such thing. You do know that, right? We need a massive, massive, massive educational group. We need to get young people out there, and not these wannabes who want to be the stars, and that's okay. Look, listen, a buck's a buck. I got it. I dig it. I understand it. But it's the same thing. Are you wasting your time watching this stuff? You've got to get into the meat and potatoes of this. This is a revolution that needs to be started. A peaceful, bloodless, violenceless, an intellectual social revolution. Do you understand what's happening? No. No, you don't. Because you're watching and listening to the usual stuff. You want to talk about Riley Gaines over and over and over and over, right? Am I right? You think that you can't get enough of that. You just can't get enough of that stuff. Riley Gaines, a tragedy. put it in its place. You're going to see others as well. You stop what you're doing, and they define where you're going. They define your level of focus. See? And you know what else is even funnier? Not that I'm saying this. If I had, in my movie, I would say, one of the best ways possible for a kind of an intellectual guerrilla warfare would be to have individuals who are themselves against this, whatever this transgender religion is, and beer ads, and I don't know, whatever. I don't really care about that. That's irrelevant to me. But it's the violence part of it that's happening. I am seeing people who look to me as though they are men dressed as women. Now, I know you're going to say, isn't that what it is? No. What I'm talking about is, if I didn't know better, and in my movie, in my version, I would have false flags. I would have people who are actually against this going out, pretending to be a member of another group, and wreaking havoc. Of course, that's beyond any kind of thinking, because you have been so accustomed over the years not to be a part of any kind of, how do I say this? You have been told not to ever become conspiratorial. But think about how easy that would be. Think about how that works. Think about this. I also don't understand this. There was a piece of another person arrested for allegedly planning a mass shooting. All media platforms must immediately agree never to post the image or the name of anyone even remotely involved in mass murder or the planning of such. And this is to include, furthermore, a refusal to post or publish manifestos and the like. And I cannot emphasize this enough, and I cannot tell you how badly this needs to be done. And nobody is talking about that. Because the very people, because let's face it, I'm just going to be candid with you. You live in a world of Fox News. This is what politics is to you. This is it. Or maybe Newsmax or one of those other stations. That's what it is. It's kind of like CNN. It's the front page stuff. Right now, we're in a unique information revolution where we have so many people out there, up to and including the great Joe Rogan and others, who are devoting so much time, Russell Brand and others, devoting time to, of all things, particle physics, quantum gravity, supersymmetry, really deep, heady stuff with Brian Greene and Eric Weinstein and Sean Carroll and others. And there is an absolute passion. There is a group of people, significant in number, who can handle multiply complicated areas of politics and the like. But instead, and I'm sorry to say this, but you're getting Greg Gutbucket and the studio audience claptrap, which is just wasting time with breaking news and Judge Janine. And listen, all that's okay, but that's cartoon. Let me try this again. If we're going to make any headway, we need to recruit the smart people. And smart people are not watching this. This is pathetic. This is Nancy. Remember Far Side? Far Side was the greatest cartoon. I loved it. I loved Far Side. Gary Larson? Remember how it was just so brilliant? Even Herman was good. Then there was Nancy, Ernie Bushmiller, Nancy, and Sluggo, I guess. I don't want to go to school, and that kind of stuff. That's Fox News, I'm sorry. And then we have those individuals who were trying their best. God bless them. Tucker Carlson, good luck for him. He's going to be talking to President Trump. And by the way, the first thing I would ask of President Trump is, hey, what about these texts that you're sending? You hate me? Of course, they probably agreed ahead of time. But this, in the Dominion lawsuit, can we talk about that? You hate me, and everybody hates me, and all these people are crazy, and Sean said we're nuts, and this is nuts, and this, and Laura says this. Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think I'm... And Trump should do this, because do you think I'm crazy when I claim that there was some kind of a very serious electoral transgression? Do you think that? Because it says here, Sean, let me read this. Can I read this to you? Of course, I'll never make it, but a man can dream. It says, you hate me. Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think that? You think I'm crazy when I talk about this, Sean? I'm just curious. Because what Trump has to understand, and I'm sorry if I tell you the truth, but it's true. Trump has to understand those are not his friends, okay? They're not his friends. And he knows that. And Trump will in some respects, will come on there one day and say, Fox News this, and then he goes on the show. And Fox News this, I hate him, and then he goes on the show. And why are you, hey, Fox News, how come you got Bill Barr on? And then he goes on the show. And then he goes on Hannity. And he goes on this one. I mean, he does. And Trump, and listen to me, does not want to be president. Stop this. He's not insane. He's not neurodivergent. Oh, yeah, you know that, right? That's the new word for crazy. He doesn't want to be president. You know it, and I know it. He doesn't want to go through that. He doesn't want to walk through that White House again. He knows that place is wired for sound. Imagine going to the John at the bat, and he's probably thinking, they're watching this. Can we just stop kidding ourselves right now? Can we do me a favor? Can you just do me a favor? And look, if you don't like this, I understand it. But can we stop kidding ourselves? Trump isn't going to be president. He doesn't want to be president. And that's it. And the Republican Party is a shambles. It doesn't even exist. It's a bunch of cool kids and the Charlie Kirks and the Dershowitz and all these people who have bamboozled you into thinking that somehow they're like the Beatles or something, and it's not the cause, but it's like this fanboy world you live in. Is that it? Do you think politics is standing by the side of the road with a sign that says, we love you, Mr. President, as he drives by away? How pathetic is that? What is that about? Do you think that the Republican Party is about Trump? Do you think that's the issue? Is that what it is? Tell me you don't think so. Tell me. I think it is. I think to you it is. I mean, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I think it's true. You love this stuff. You'll get so they are playing you with this beer. This beer Bud Light thing is brilliant. You don't get it, do you? Oh, Travis Tritt. God bless Travis Tritt. Travis said, I'm not going to have Budweiser. Great. Do you know how many people, the word Bud Light, do you ever hear Bud Light? Whoever orders a Bud Light, now it is so, that name, Bud Light. It's in, remember that, remember that? Who let the dog out and all that? You can't buy this. You want to call this neuro-linguistic programming? This is what these folks say. You've heard the word Bud Light now. And you keep talking about Bud Light. You keep talking about Bud Light. Bud Light, Bud Light, Bud Light, Bud Light, Bud Light, Bud Light. You think this is Riley Gaines? Come on. How come you keep having Matt Walsh on all the time? Says, now, do you think a man has a penis? I mean, what is the matter with you? Is this your level of complexity? When are you going to let this go? Move on. There's other stuff to talk about. Joe Rogan's talking to Brian Cox about quantum gravity, event horizons, and black holes. And you're talking about Matt Walsh? I don't understand this. Your world is this silly, have a story, and then bring on somebody, Brian Halfcocked or whatever, some black talk show host, or Candace Owens. Oh, she the mile a minute. I like to see Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro in a speed off, just like the FedEx guy. What are we doing here? What are we doing? The king and queen of obviousness, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. You want to keep doing that, you're going to lose. The shadow government, whatever you want to call these people, are so smart. They are into 5, 10, 15-year tranches of new things to hit you. You haven't even hit ChatGPT yet. You haven't even hit AI or AGI. You don't know what's happening. You didn't hear Jamie Dimon the other day, who basically says we're going to use eminent domain to basically seize private property. No, you're busy talking about Riley Gaines, because that's easy. That's about, she was hit by a bad man. Okay, that's all I know. She was hit by a bad man. I want to watch Fox News talk about her. She got hit by a bad man. Okay, Toby. Fine. That's all I want to know. I'm a Republican. Hey, that's it. That's it. You're doomed. You're doomed. This vestige of news presentation is so pathetic, so bad, so horrible. It's just, I don't even know what to say. Marjorie Taylor Greene said that New York smells. I like Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's good. That's good. That's good. I like Matt Gaetz too. I know you do. I know you. And Boebert and guns and okay. That's it. That's as deep as it gets. That's your Republican Party. Yep. Anybody want to talk about Julian Assange? No. Who? Julian Assange. I don't know who he is. Well, he's probably the biggest issue of them all. You know, the notion of the First Amendment. You remember this thing? You know what this is? That's a constitution. That's right, Toby. But did you read it? No. Okay. Well, let me explain that to you. I don't understand what's happening here. But I'm going to tell you one thing that's happening. You better listen to me right now. Our good friends at MyPillow.com. Huh? Was that smooth or what? MyPillow.com. MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel. How's your mattress doing? Oh, yeah. Not good, is it? No, not really. Think it's time maybe to buy a new one? Those are expensive. Go to MyPillow.com, put in promo code Lionel, and get a topper. It's like a new mattress. It's the greatest thing ever. And when it comes to toppers, MyPillow.com is for you. And they've been with us. And we support them, and they support us. And if you support us, you're going to support them. Okay? MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel. Go there and go there now. Now, my friends, let's talk about some other things too. Oh, Jim Jordan. Oh, I like Jim Jordan. I know you like Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan doesn't wear a jacket. He sure doesn't. He sure doesn't. And Jim Jordan wants to subpoena the top Manhattan Trump prosecutor for what? Jim. Federalism. Remember them? You're telling a state prosecutor whom he can't subpoena. Wait a minute. You're telling Alvin Bragg that what now? What are you doing? What are you doing? How does this work, Jim? How does this work? How are you, a member of Congress, interfering with the ongoing prosecution, whether you like it or not, of a state prosecutor because he's doing what exactly? I can't believe what I'm seeing. Can't believe what I'm seeing. And you love Jim Jordan. Oops, I just hit myself in the face. You love Jim Jordan. You got that? Or you can watch more about Riley Gaines. She's going to get more attention. And remember, Jim Jordan and Riley Gaines, they get more attention taken away from our collective focus. And that's not to say her issue is not important. To say this again, it's just that we have the attention span of a gnat, and the easier the low-hanging fruit is to grasp, the more it distracts. And by the way, I don't even refer to this term called conservatives, because conservatives are dead. I don't know where they are. They are as relevant today as the Bull Moose Party or the Whigs. They're at best an anachronism or some historic vestige that people respond to, the same way a Civil War reenactor sees Ulysses Grant. Notice I say Ulysses, not Ulysses. His name was Hiram, by the way, but that didn't work, so Ulysses S. Grant, U.S. Grant. And oh, by the way, You want to watch? Oh, I want to watch Fox News. I know you do. I know you do. Yes. And the GOP, conservative, whatevers. You see, I've been telling you this, and one day you'll figure this out. The governmental radical left sock puppet media are playing you for the fools, unfortunately, that you are. I'm sorry to say this, but it's true. They determine the agenda, and you follow it. You never act, you react. They designate what you respond to. Transgender beer promotions. John Waters' dystopian drag queen horror shows for kids. Puberty-blocking chemical sexual mutilation. Defund the police. Climate change. Abortion ubiquity. And what programs do you promote? Nothing. You don't have any programs. Nothing. All you have is CPAC, Fox, Jim Jordan, issuing another one of his worthless subpoenas. Or maybe you have John Kennedy. Or maybe one of your hand-picked conservative media favorites going on some program and spouting the obvious. No. Face it. The Republican Party right now is non-existent. It acts as a shadow. It represents the inverse, I guess you would call it the inverse reflection of the predominant and ruling shadow government. It's like the shadow, it's here, and you stand behind it, and the sun, this is merely I don't know. I don't know what it does. They can't even make up their minds about the Speaker of the House or Donald Trump. They're worthless. Doomed. No complexity. No depth. We have these, oh my God, we listen to these people. They think that using the word woke is somehow going to satisfy this. You know, whenever people don't know what to say, especially people of the conservative iteration, they love to bring up Saul Alinsky. You have no idea who Saul Alinsky. Saul Alinsky was a genius. Saul Alinsky, you've never read anything about him. You don't take his words. He left you a blueprint for what you have to do. Saul Alinsky's focus, he always said, centered upon America's white middle class. He said that's where the power is. But that's not true now. America's white middle class, whatever that means, doesn't even exist. And what's left has no power or representation or identity. You see, what I want to do is I want to have a school one day. I want to have a school where we teach young people. They come to us, and we kind of like the Heritage Foundation, which, by the way, is very good. Very, very good. And you got others like Cato, that's okay, and libertarian stuff. And American Enterprise is good. And think tanks and Federalist Society is very good. But I want to teach people how to do stuff. And I want to teach people basic skills. What Americans don't have is basic rudimentary education skills. They have no critical thinking skills. They have no ability to understand how things work. It's just like when you want to go to a cooking school. The first thing you do is, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you want to cook Middle Eastern food or Chinese or Szechuan or Italian or whatever. We're going to teach you knife skills. There are some rudimentary knife skills. We're going to teach you things like, baking and sauteing. And then what you do with that is a different story. See, we have people right now who are not politically trained. They have no idea about ideology. To them, it's just they're watching a cartoon or something. And they think, oh, that something's funny, or I like that. I say, no. I'm going to show you how to chop. I'm going to show you how to do something. What is your ideology? You want to work with the car? In my ideal school, I'll take people. Are you pro-choice? Come on in. Are you pro-life? Or what? These are terrible names, but come on in. Both people. I don't care. What about you? Well, I'm transgender. Come on in. What about you? I'm anti-church. Come on in. I don't care. I'm going to teach you the rudiments of it. And you can go out as an American. You can espouse anything you want. But you have to understand how the rules work. You have to understand what a thing is about. Now, I'm going to tell you something, and this may be a shock to you, But there is nothing illegal about Bud Light having a transgender activist or whatever. There's nothing. You're wasting your time with that. You're wasting your time. That's a political. It's a social thing. Yeah. I know, kids. Yeah, you're right. It's okay. But that's not where I'm focusing on. Where do you focus? Well, you have to understand what you're missing. You see, years ago, there was a wonderful weekend show that Lenny, I call him Lenny, did, and it was about the orchestra, the Philharmonic or the New York or whatever, I forget which one it was. And he would say, let me explain to you how this thing works. And he would bring kids in. I'll never forget one time, there's a little black kid. He was standing in front of Carnegie Hall or something, and Lenny gives him a baton, and he goes like this, he goes, you ready? And the kid stands up there, and he's got this. He goes, ready? Now you go like this. And he said, okay. And the kid went like this. And when that orchestra hit, it was like a cannon. He almost dropped the baton. He goes, see? And he goes like that, and he stopped. He went like that. And that's what you have to do. You hear the music, but you don't know where this fits in. Do you understand this? The world is it's a symphony with different parts and different. There's so much to learn. And I know that there's a huge faction of Americans who frankly think that they like to hear the complexity of it. Let me try this again. Joe Rogan, who I think is the most important platform person today, actually will have Joey Diaz talking about God knows what, frottage in one instance, and then Sean Carroll talking about quantum gravity on another. It's incredible. They can handle it. But when you have a group of people at the regular platform, cable news platforms and others, they're thinking, we are not going to change. We don't know what the hell you're talking about. I want to get people to understand how the system works. And if you believe in transgender, whatever, that's fine. That's up to that. You're not breaking the law. You can advocate that. There's nothing wrong with that. You might think from a policy point of view it is, but there's nothing wrong with advocacy. I don't care about that. That's not what we're talking about. But let me tell you one particular problem. I'm going to talk to you about the takings clause. Jamie Dimon says he's going to take private property. The takings clause, Fifth Amendment. You cannot be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process. The takings clause, eminent domain. I don't care who you are. Did you know about that? No. Do you know what AGI is going to do? No. Nobody's explained this to you. How about the good part about AI, AGI? You think Judge Janine's going to do this? I don't think so. I hate to break it to you. I don't think so. If you're looking there, and by the way, enjoy it. It's like it's a kind of a guilty pleasure, so to speak. It's like watching the Kardashians or Real Housewives of New Jersey. That's what Fox News is. It's just real basic. Just basic. And Newsmax, remember it's in Sluggo and Nancy? This is below that. This is like cave drawings. It's so easy. It's so, overreactive to the obvious. Anyway. I'm going to throw something at you. I want you to think about something. But before you do this, I want you to think about what I'm doing right now. In my description, there's something about electromagnetic pulses, EMPs. Once you read about this, read my link. Go right now. If you're listening on the cell phone later, you got to go to this more section. You got to see what's happening. Read the link to EMP Shield. Read it and use my link and look and read, and your jaw will drop. And you say, why is anybody talking about this? The same reason why they don't talk about geoengineering, because they don't know. They have not a clue. Not a clue. Not a clue. EMP Shield, American-owned, veteran-owned, Midwest. Read it. Read what's happening. Read this, okay? Read what is happening. And you'll realize, oh my God, is there anything to do? Yes, EMP Shield. Protect yourself, your family, your home, your electronics, in case of some Carrington effect, coronal whatever that hits you, okay? Okay. Now put the usual stuff away, okay? For those who think Peter Ducey is, intellectually taxing, I'm not talking to you for a moment. I'm going to talk to you about something else. Do you know what singularity is? Have you ever heard about singularity? Singularity is one of the most difficult things to... AI singularity. Singularity, Ray Kurzweil talks about it. Ben Goertzel talks about it. Technical singularity. It's a very... the tipping point. Singularity. What is a singularity? The singularity is defined as a hypothetical future where technology growth is out of control and irreversible. It's the word singularity deals with almost like the singularity that dealt before the Big Bang. That momentary, that singular point as to the creation of the universe. Well, it's kind of like that, but it's where technology is so great and so fast and so omnipresent and so cascading that there's no stopping, and it's just it takes over. We always talk about AI and AGI being negative and being problematic, okay? We always look at it in terms of, well, what if it writes a paper and it's woke? That's all you think. The woke. Every time you hear somebody use the word woke, anyway. That's a consideration. That's good. But what if you were to put in the parameters of, let's say, cancer, and it finds out how to cure cancer? What if AI, AGI decides that everything we've been doing, you do realize that there is this, that in the world of, and you can learn this of all places with Joe Rogan and even Russell Brand and others as well. Really good stuff. But the string theory model is like, there's a big problem. And then when you hit black holes, and there's no quantum theory for that. It's just a mess. It is an absolute mess. And nobody knows where to go or what to do. And it's one of those things that, frankly, you got to ask, well, do we need a new quantum theory for this? Do we need some... They're stuck. And Ed Witten is doing his thing, and others as well. It's very, very confusing. And it's fascinating to hear people, to be on the cutting edge. Imagine if you could have been there, if you could have heard Maxwell, or if you could have heard Einstein or Niels Bohr on a show, on a podcast, describe the state of the art, what's happening regarding this. It would have been just incredible. Imagine Einstein talking about relativity. By the way, great cartoon. And I hate when people try to define cartoons, or describe them. But Einstein's at a chalkboard, and he has A equals MC squared crossed out, B equals MC squared, C, D, and then he's like this. All right. What if artificial intelligence were to say, we got to figure it out? We did it. We just figured out what it would have taken you 100 years to figure out. We just figured out cancer. We understand the mechanism of cancer. Cancer is fascinating. Cancer is an ever-expanding, ever-different rogue cell neoplasm that just through angiogenesis and new blood systems, it moves, it's metastatic, it becomes either in situ, or it's just wow. It might be environmental. It might be genetically predisposed. It's just, and each one's different. If this cancer is better than this. Thyroid cancer is much better to get than a brain cancer, than a glioma. Well, they're both bad, but this one's worse. Well, why is this one worse? Well, it's a lot of things. It's not only the cancer, but where it is and the lethality. Pancreatic cancer is a problem too, because first of all, by the time it becomes symptomatic, it's too late and it's hard to get. And there's all these things. What if AI could say, we got it figured out for it? Nobody ever talks about that. They always talk about the fact that some woke, like, when I went to write an article about Nixon, it said bad things. Okay, let's just scrap AGI. Wait a minute. No. Think about this. What happens if we say, give them AIDS? What? Figure out AIDS. You notice how nobody's really dying of AIDS anymore. I shouldn't say this. I'm not a professional. I'm sure they are, but it was the death penalty, really, in essence. But then through AZT and these different cocktails, people are living. Well, that was incredible. Can you imagine Ainsley talking about this? No. It would never be, and frankly, to be fair, it's not their jurisdiction. That's not what they want to do. They want to go to a diner. They want to go. What do you think about children? Do you think President Trump did anything wrong? No. Thank you. Look, if you like that, that's great. It's not even junk food. It's like the wrapper of the junk food. There's so much great stuff out there. Here we go. The word of etymology and language. Here's one, neurodivergent. You read this? I got this from on the web. The term neurodivergent means people whose brain differences affect how their brain works. That means that they have different strengths and challenges from people whose brains have those differences. The possible difference between the possible differences include medical disorders, learning disabilities, and other conditions. Right now, we're looking at a very interesting case here regarding, and this occurs nowhere in the world, but John Fetterman, who represents not just about Pennsylvania, this man, but he's a phasic. He is absolutely without the ability to handle minimal processes. I'm sorry, I'm not saying this to mock him, but it's true. But they're calling him neurodivergent. So instead of realizing that maybe you're right, what they're doing is they're saying something a little bit different. Here's something else that nobody's talking about either, especially on Fox. I keep picking on Fox News, but they're the number one, according to you. You love them. They've got a real problem with this Dominion case. Big problem. Big. And this is going to rewrite the whole notion of New York Times against Sullivan. But the idea is, what is journalism? Well, there was a case in 2001 called Bartnicki against Vopper, V-O-P-P-E-R. There was a case where a radio station, I believe, received illegally trespassory capture of conversations. They didn't actively seek it, but they received it from somebody who took these. And they either played them or whatever it was. And the issue is this newsworthy? And the Supreme Court said in Bartnicki was that since they did not steal this, since they weren't involved in the procurement of this, this is newsworthy and the First Amendment applies. That's Julian Assange. That's it. Beginning and end. First Amendment. You think anybody on there is that? No. You think maybe Brian killed me? But no. The only one even remotely discussing this kind of is Tucker, who sort of maybe he circles the plant and it takes off when he realizes they're going too deep. All right, pull back. Bring in that guy, that talk show guy, to break up. Bring in somebody with a hat. Whatever. It's like right when it gets deep. Now, Joe Rogan would have talked for 2 hours on the depth of newsworthy versus journalism versus trespassory versus aiding and abetting, the differences between Ellsberg and Assange. I heard somebody say that Ellsberg was a whistleblower. He stole the information from the Rand Corporation. What are you talking about? Julian Assange, WikiLeaks, they brought it to him. Ellsberg was an active participant. That's what they're claiming that Julian Assange is doing. But nobody talks about that. They don't talk about that. You know the case of this tragic. Well, you're gonna love this. You know this terrible case of Bob Lee, the Cash App founder. You know that case? Yeah. Now, you probably don't know this, but I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to try to say it in a way that maybe you'll understand. I don't know. Maybe you will. Maybe you won't. But it goes something like this. Do you know what other people are saying about him? This murder? This is very interesting. Who was Bob Lee? What was he doing? What is he involved in? Let's assume you're a detective. And you want to say, who is this person? There used to be something in the old days. It was an expression. Make it look like a robbery. You take a wallet, and a hit looks like a robbery. Why? Because their wallet's missing. That was it. Who is he? Okay, if this is the level that you see, that you know in terms of your news, if this is the level, there are other levels below that are far more interesting that I would never discuss here. Never. Under any circumstance, ever. At LionelMedia.com, my private channel, I will. Yes. Or maybe allude to it on my other YouTube channel at Lionel Legal. But the really good stuff, the stuff that will keep you up at night, you will never read or hear about from the usual suspects. Believe me when I tell you that. Believe me. And the number one, if I let me tell you something. If I had to tell you, all right, let me tell you the stuff that will keep you up at night. Let me tell you something. You probably say, well, what is it? Tell me something. All right. Stuff that will blow your mind. It's not about war or 9/11 or Watergate or no. That's passé. Well, what is it then? I'll tell you. The thing that is, to me, the most mind-blowing of all the subjects is what we call Hollywood and entertainment. If you only knew how this seemingly benign, it is the most protected group of the most hideous, horrible, morally vacant vermin who produce sort of, music and used to be movies, and that's dead now. You would not believe what happens. And Breitbart said it best, that politics is downstream from entertainment. That entertainment, this is Frank Zappa said that the entertainment is the entertainment division of the Pentagon or something. It's where it starts, and everything comes from this. This is where I put my money. The shadow government doesn't hang out in the Pentagon; it hangs out in Hollywood. You don't hang out where people are going to be looking for you. It's not in Washington. It's over here. It's Silicon Valley. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to shut down your freedom of speech with a law. I'm going to give you a device that you become addicted to, that you use to speak to the rest of the world, and then I threaten to take this away from you if you don't say the right thing. That's how I do it. I work behind the scenes. I'm not going to go to Congress. I'm not going to go to the CIA. You think seriously, you think the CIA? See, if I had a movie, I'm just saying, my character would be, I'd be kind of like, remember that fellow, I think he was, Donald Sutherland's character. He played, what was his name? You know who I'm talking about. Purportedly played, who was this? Donald Sutherland. See what we're doing now? I'm looking up. Played who in, this was JFK. I think he played, it was supposedly Fletcher Prouty. Theoretically. So they say, Fletcher Prouty. But I would tell people, in my movie, it'd be very simple. And it would be something like this. Some young guy would be talking to me, and I'm recruiting him. And I'm the wise old man from whatever. And I would say to him, are you interested in what? Well, it depends. You mean serving my country? No, not really. At times, I guess, maybe. Who will I be working for? You'll never know. Plausible deniability. You'll be paid, but in ways that if you're ever caught, you will never be able to give anybody up because you won't know anything. You'll have an idea, but not really. That's at best. You don't know how things work. If an organization has a parking lot, you're not a part of it. We don't have business cards. We don't have a headquarters. There's no director. There's no hierarchy. It doesn't. It's like an electron field. It's like a Higgs field. It's just there. And sometimes it's difficult to find out, well, are you working for... You see, it's nobody here. It's like a bigger issue. It's kind of like a movement, so to speak. Don't expect you to go to work, well, we're going to go to the bottom of, Nord Stream. No, it doesn't really work like that. No. Remember, if you're reading about it in the newspaper, we're not interested in it. It's bigger stuff. More interesting. Long term. You may not even know what you have to do. Do you know, listen to me carefully. Do you know that there was a time, the most interesting, the most intel organized, how do I say this? The most intel based, if you will, group that mimicked it was Apple. Not Google, Apple. Google works together. People go into Google, they say, hey, how are you? And they work on this or that, and they talk to each other, and they kind of, you know what I mean? But in Apple, oh no. They couldn't wait to see the phone that was introduced. Why? Because the guy who was in charge of the beveled glass never knew the people, never talked to the guy who was in charge of the case or the electronics or the buttons or the graphics or whatever. It was like, I mean, you couldn't leave. Remember those stories every now and then somebody would sneak out a prototype? Never happened. One of the greatest works ever. Some guy at a bar leaves the prototype. They just have fun sometimes. You couldn't get near it. You couldn't take anything out. Are you kidding? Apple was it had every earmark of the highest level military intel there was. They were great. It's kind of like that, sort of. And the idea of who's who and who's not. And you got to look for things. You got to say, you know when somebody throws a fight, Remember years ago they thought that that Sonny Liston threw the fight. Remember when Muhammad Ali knocked Sonny Liston out, and there was the punch that nobody saw. You always want to look and see who's throwing the fight. If I didn't know better, I'm thinking the Republicans are throwing the fight because they're not fighting. They're not doing anything. They're doing this a lot, but they're not doing anything. They're wasting time. They're wasting time to make a lot of noise, but they're wasting time because their particular political position may be best served by being the victim. They may say, you know what, we're making a lot of money this way. And we enjoy, frankly, arguing about this because right now there's three, if you will, parties, for lack of a better word. There's Democrats, old-style Democrats, the usual Democrats. There's Republicans, but the real people in charge are shadow government folks. Shadow government, they're on a plane. Very simple. Ask anybody you know in the Democratic Party whether they like what's being done in their name. Ask them. Is AOC promoting anything about transgender? No. Bernie Sanders? No. Nancy Pelosi? No. Steny Hoyer? No. No. The Squad? No. What are they talking about? Oh, taxes and this and Trump. What's happening is outside of that realm. They're not in charge. That's not their thing. And Jamie Dimon, the biggest story, actually looking at eminent domain to seize property? Dear God. To put in windmills and that one, the alarm bells never went off. Because you were busy talking about Riley Gaines. You were busy talking about some Tennessee lawmakers or, San Francisco or something Marjorie Taylor Greene said. Low-hanging fruit, very simple stuff. Marjorie Taylor Greene said that New York stinks. Okay, great. Oh, that went on forever. Simple. Donald Trump. Oh, you don't know what they've got signed up for him. That is so complicated. And when I tell people, he doesn't want to run, they look at me like I'm a traitor. Don't say that. Oh, come on. What is he, nuts? So let me just leave you with this. This is very taxing. This is very stressful. Now, you got to think about your system and your immune system and your body and your health. And that's why, my dear friends, you go to this link below. Z-Stack is what you need. How about this? Start with this. Go to their site. It's beautiful. Start off very, very simple. Can't go wrong with this. Vitamin C? Come on. Linus Pauling? I don't even have to go through that one. Zinc? Vitamin D3? It's not even a vitamin. Remember, it's more like a hormone. It's like a master. And then, quercetin, flavonoids, antioxidants. That's what you need because you're not eating right. I'm sorry, you're not eating right. Because you're launching all that stuff on YouTube. Hey, I'm a keto and okay, good. I'm eating, that's good. I'm eating, raw venison. Okay, but it's a free country. But the other stuff that you need, you're not eating. So Z-Stack, do yourself a favor. Take that and just hedge your bets. That's all. That's all I'm saying. You understand that? Okay. Now, my friends, this has been a lot for you to go through, a lot for you to take into account, a lot. It's very difficult, and very taxing. I understand that. I do. It's very difficult to understand because none of this makes any sense. This violates everything you've ever seen before. And if you fancy yourself as a conservative, this is not about Rush Limbaugh or Ronald Reagan or anything like that. This is a brave new world with new rules. And don't be distracted. All right, my friends. I'm going to wish you a great day. I'm going to say happy Easter Eve to you and yours. Happy Passover to all my dear friends, Jewish friends. And tis the season. Spring is coming and it's about time. Also, I ask you very simply to follow Mrs. L. She is doing yeoman's work. Some of the most important and critical stuff she has ever done in her life. And what I want you to do right now is to follow her YouTube channel. And I'm going to give it to you right now. I'm going to give it to you right now. This is her YouTube channel. Just click on this and you will be in duck soup. Whatever that means, I don't know. I like to say that. Here it is. This is L's right there. Lynn's Warriors. Lynn's Warriors on YouTube. And also on Twitter, Lynn's, Lynns _Warriors. We'll see you tomorrow, my friends. Thank you so very much. Don't ever change a mean that sincerely. Until tomorrow, 8 a.m. new time, which I like a lot better. We'll see you tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. Until then, remember these words, this valedictory. The monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. That's it.